You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there. I'm Kelly Barner, and today is Friday, December 1st, 2023.
6.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm simultaneously shocked that it is December already and also exhausted by the year gone by. Where did 2023 go? This is my final Procurement 6 of 2023, so I'm taking it as my opportunity to thank you for walking this crazy road with us side by side all year long. I've spent the last week, and will spend most of next week too, interviewing some of the participants of our Research into Services Procurement one-on-one. In each interview, I learned something about services management or sourcing or customer service, but most importantly, I'm getting the opportunity to speak with some of you for the very first time. Every conversation has been wonderful. I'm truly grateful for this amazing community, and I have so much respect for the passion and dedication that each of you shows day in and day out. We are so blessed for the opportunity to support you, to learn from you, and in some cases, to finally get to know you in real life.
5.
In this week's Art of Procurement podcast episode, Philip Eidson speaks with Aaron Atticote, a senior manager at Deloitte, and Ryan Flynn, a principal at Deloitte. He talks to them about the 2023 Global Chief Procurement Officer Survey. 2023 will probably be remembered, at least in part, as the year of generative AI. In this conversation, Phil took the opportunity to ask Aaron and Ryan how they are seeing AI being applied within procurement. Let's listen.
And so I have time, I think, for one last quick question. So I'm going to ask this on the technology side. Obviously, a lot of noise about AI in procurement. Is that just noise at the moment, or is there some real concrete use cases that you're seeing, today in the field where procurement leaders can take advantage of AI?
Yeah, 100%. There's some really good examples out there. I can talk to one where we helped a client fully automate the order creation process for a certain commodity they were buying, resins. And if you think about the role of the person who was doing that prior, they were looking at some basic data points. How much inventory have I got? What's the forecast? What contracts do I have? And how much am I going to buy? And they were trying to, themselves in their own brain with a spreadsheet, work it all out week to week, and then raise purchase orders correspondingly to that. We digitized that process. So we then pulled in how much inventory are we holding? Yes. How much, what's the pricing of the commodity at the time? What are the lead indicators of the shifts in that price and the forecast of that commodity? What are the contracts? Where are we in terms of the consumption against those volume breaks within the contract? So we pulled in, I think it was somewhere around 30 data points in order to generate the best answer, and then automatically generate that order, and then continually apply machine learning to improve that. So obviously there was a manual check to see if the order was right and how much was raised, et cetera, and then be able to fully automate that process essentially. That's capability that exists today. And then what's beautiful about doing that, and I think what even I didn't realize at the time, but as the model was running, you can then apply analytics to that, and it would tell you, hey, if we had an extra VAT, we could have bought more material at the lower price and saved more money. So it can actually, because it's all digitized, that the mathematics behind it and the modeling, you can actually then, it can work to optimize itself and tell you how to optimize it in order to generate even more value. And this was a company that buys a lot of this material. They have done for many, many years and thought they were really, really good at it. Mm-hmm. And we saved, I think it was 5 to 8% on the material, and then there was an additional 4 or 5% through that optimization I described. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, all this stuff is available and can be done. You just have to have a focused use case and go at it. And we always use the framing: start small, act fast, think big, right?
So much of what we hear about AI right now is speculative, even inflated at times. What I appreciate about Aaron's answer is that with the right tech, anyone can get better. It's sort of a philosophy around applying AI. It doesn't matter how experienced you are or how knowledgeable you are about a specific product or service. If you're willing to try a new approach, there is still an additional ceiling you can punch through. As he said, start small, act fast, and think big. To listen to the full episode, go to artofprocurement.com/podcast or search for Art of Procurement and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can just click the link in today's show notes.
4.
In this week's episode of the Sourcing Hero podcast, I spoke with Chris Lance about the 3 most popular episodes of 2023. Those were Learning to Work Side by Side with ChatGPT with Joshua Palacios. He's a senior sourcing manager at Rowe. Now, this episode is both the top episode of 2023 by downloads and also the one that has the most listens of all time. There's also Telling a Business Story Beyond the Numbers with Christian Franz Hansen from the Business Partnering Institute. And Making Procurement Research Actionable with Dennis Wolowicki, Executive Managing Director at CAPS Research. To hear our conversation and take a key learning away from each of those former episodes, or to explore other episodes of the Sourcing Hero podcast, you can use the link in today's show notes or search wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
In this week's episode of Dial P for Procurement, I completely diverted from my plan to cover a high-visibility White House event focused on supply chain resilience. On Monday, November 27th, President Biden announced the creation of the White House Council on Supply Chain Resilience. The event was big news for the administration and for supply chain professionals. Almost 30 new actions focused on strengthening economically important and national security critical supply chains were announced. But the devil's always in the details. And if we are going to figure out what this announcement means for private sector professionals, we have to look past the fanfare and the official statements and think about what we know. So I dug into the details to consider the Biden administration's overall relationship with supply chain, dating back to the Executive Order on America's Supply Chains that was issued on February 21st, 2021. I looked at the news that was and was not made at Monday's event, and then listed out the good, the bad, and the unknown about these developments for America's most strategic supply chains. Check out the full episode and accompanying long-form article on the Art of Procurement website, or subscribe to the Dial P for Procurement podcast on all major podcast platforms.
2.
In other news, this week the Merriam-Webster Dictionary announced the word of the year for 2023, and it is authentic. How ironic that in a year with so much focus on digital, it would be a word that suggests something or someone is real and true would end up being the word of the year. Authenticity is something we actively work to ensure here at Art of Procurement, in our webinars, in our virtual events, and in our podcast interviews. That is why we don't script, and we coach each of our guests to do the same. We go live whenever possible. Authenticity isn't just a quality someone possesses. It is a judgment call made by the people observing or listening to them. And the best way to seem authentic, the only way really, is to be authentic, even if that means making a mistake or taking a risk from time to time. Real is more important than perfect because perfection is an illusion. You can read more about Merriam-Webster's selection as well as the other words that were in the running in the article linked in today's show notes.
1.
Before I let you go, we have an upcoming event that you won't want to miss. On December 14th, I'm hosting the team from Tonkin for a webinar about signs your intake to procure process may be broken and how to fix it. This is the last Art of Procurement event of the year, so be sure to sign up and join us. I promise we will be authentic. You can find the registration link in today's show notes or at artofprocurement.com/calendar.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.